Good afternoon and welcome to the SRUC Elmwood Horticulture Open Day. My name is Caroline Manzi and I'm joined by lecturer Marc Harper, who's going to run through a presentation this afternoon. Please feel free to enter any questions that you might have into the Q&A box, and Marc will try his best to answer them this afternoon during the event. Okay, I'll now pass over to Marc.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Glad to see that there's some of you here that you're interested in studying horticulture with us at Elmwood. So my name's Marc Harper. I'm the programme team leader for the horticulture department at Elmwood, and I'm going to go through a little bit about what a career in horticulture entails. You might have an idea of that already, but perhaps not. Perhaps you just enjoy gardening. So hopefully I'll inspire you to take on a career, because there's such a variety of careers that you can choose in horticulture. But I'll also talk a little bit about the courses that we offer here. And with that in mind, if you want to pop into the chat, if you know already what course you're interested in, or as you're going through the lecture, pop in the chat what course it is that you think you might be interested in. And please feel free to post any questions, as Caroline says. So one of the other things I would like you to do as well as we're going through, and I'll maybe pick this up at the end, is have a think about what careers you think there are in horticulture. Because certainly when I was a student, I'm not going to say how long ago, but a good few years ago now, I got into horticulture because I enjoyed gardening. I had a little gardening job before I decided that I wanted to go and study gardening. I had no idea of the variety of career choices that were available to me when I started on the NC in horticulture. So have a little think and post in the chat as to what careers you think might be available for horticulture. I'll see if I can pick up at the end if you've thought of any of the ones that I've mentioned. There are, as I said, a variety of career choices and some really exciting career options for you if you decide to choose horticulture as a course to study. So there's a wide and varied disciplines that I'll go over, and a career path to suit everybody, whether you're a school leaver or you're a mature student, you're somebody that's passionate about plants, or you're just somebody that really enjoys being outdoors. There's options for everybody. But one of the things that we perhaps struggle with a little bit in horticulture is the perception of horticulture. If I asked you, certainly when I was a teenager, when I was in my early 20s, what kind of person does gardening? That is what would spring to mind. An old man in an allotment growing his fruit and vegetables. It certainly wasn't seen as a career choice for myself. It's something that I found a bit later on in life. And a lot of people still think like this, or they still feel horticulture is a hobby. It's for people to go and look after an allotment and grow their own fruit and veg, or tend their garden when they're retired, that sort of thing. My predecessor, it was him that sort of created this PowerPoint, and that was the picture that he used, and he explained the same thing when I attended open days, and it's still true today. Remarkably, that picture looks very much like him. I'm amazed that he found something like that. So what are the career options? Why is it an exciting career to embark on in horticulture? And why is it not for the old man tending his allotment? I'm going to show you a few pictures here that kind of demonstrate some of the things that you can get into in horticulture. So this first one here is a picture of the Japanese garden up at Cowden in Perthshire. Our HNC students going to visit there as part of a garden design course. But you can see that being a horticulturalist or studying horticulture allows you to understand how our gardens and how plants can fit into our landscape and create beautiful landscapes like that. So it's about designing and having creativity as well. It can also be about production. In Scotland, we have a number of large commercial production horticultural businesses that produce things from bedding plants to alpines to heathers. And some of this is on a vast scale, a huge scale. So again, that's a picture from a bedding plant producer at Errol in Perthshire. and they produce millions of bedding plants every year. And there's a lot of science and technology behind the production of plants as well. It's not just about propagating the plants or growing them from seed. It's about how do you look after these plants and grow them at their optimum conditions so that they're perfect for when they're going out to the garden centre. There's a lot of knowledge, skills, expertise and technology that goes in to producing plants on such a large scale. There's a lot of advancement in technology in horticulture nowadays. This was the best picture I could find from my own library. But this is a picture of a seed sowing machine. So the bedding plant nursery that you can see there, they will produce their beddings by sowing seeds in a tray using one of these machines. So the skills needed to maintain these machines, to understand how they work, to operate them, but also the horticulture skills to know how to sow the seeds properly and then how to look after them as they're going through the production line is very important as well. And it might not be perfectly evident from looking at this picture, but climate change and the environment plays a massive part, as I'm sure most of you will know, in horticulture and how we grow our plants and how our gardens look. And that's something that's changing in horticulture in quite a big way. It certainly has over the past 10 years or so. Is how do we garden in a changing climate? How do we make sure that our gardens are resilient to adapt to climate change? What plants do we need to ensure we've got the pollinators or plants for pollinators in our gardens and in our landscapes? And horticulture, or learning horticulture and understanding horticulture, is vital to that. As is conservation. So again, this is a picture from Benmore Botanic Gardens, which is one of the gardens owned by the Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh. And this is their very old giant redwood avenue that they have there. It was planted in the mid-1800s, so these trees are pretty old. And the botanics is all about conserving plants, and you learn a lot about why that's important in horticulture. And I use this image to show you that you can see this gravel pathway in the middle here. It wasn't always like that. Just a few years ago, that was all laid to grass. But with years of people walking through this avenue, it's compacted the soil around it. So they've had to come up with an ingenious way to aerate the soil to preserve the trees, because the trees were starting to suffer from the compacted soil. So there's a lot of technology and a lot of horticulture experience and skills that are needed to come up with solutions like that to make sure we can conserve our landscapes and our plants for future generations. And I touched on garden design a little bit as well, but designing gardens, if you've got a creative flair, garden design is a really interesting part of horticulture. Even if you don't want to be a garden designer, having an understanding of how to design a planting border or a bed, how to choose the plants that are going to grow there properly and that are going to survive in the situation you're putting it in, is all important knowledge for a gardener. No matter where it is you're working, it's important knowledge. And the picture you can see there is actually from one of our HNC students who designed a small show garden for the Scone Palace garden fair that happens every year. So that's just a bit of a flavour of what you'll learn when you study horticulture. At all levels of our courses, you'll be touching on all aspects of what I've discussed there. And hopefully it shows you that there's a massive breadth of career options available to you. And the next few slides will demonstrate that. I probably won't go through all of them, but you can see in your screen there a number of different career options if you study horticulture, from creative careers such as designing gardens, as I mentioned before. But one topic that I think a lot of people don't really recognise as being a career option within horticulture is the science and technology side of things. There's a huge amount of opportunity in science. If you're interested in science, there's a lot of opportunity within horticulture to carry out scientific investigations. Things like plant taxonomy, so discovering plants, describing plants and then naming plants for science is an important part of what the Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh do. but we'll teach you about that as part of your courses as well. You might be interested in insects and pollination and diseases and things. There's plant pathology. You might be interested in breeding plants, or you might be interested in soil and conserving soil. So all of this stuff, there's career options available to you. I mentioned environmental horticulture, the need to garden in a changing climate, and how do we make our gardens resilient. So understanding ecology, there's career options available for you within that. There's things like being a garden historian, plant hunter. I'd love to be a plant hunter, jetting across the world to try and discover new species would be great fun. If you're more business minded, you learn a bit about business and how horticulture businesses are run. So there's lots of options within rural business management, so managing estates. It could be buying and selling for horticultural businesses, garden centres, running your own business, for example. There's opportunities in production and food. So in Fife in particular, we're the centre of the soft fruit production in the UK. There's a huge amount of strawberries and raspberries and soft fruit grown in Fife and Dundee and Angus. So there's lots of opportunities there with a qualification in horticulture. Another up and coming or developing part of the industry is health and well-being, and the importance of gardens and green spaces to society and to individuals' health and well-being. So therapeutic horticulture is something that we offer as part of one of our courses. And there's lots of career opportunities available in that space now. And then there's your sports and leisure, so looking after parks and gardens, sports turf management, and interior landscape designer, things like that. I once had a colleague whose son, his job was designing gardens and rooms, bedrooms, etc. for film sets across in Glasgow, which sounds like a fascinating career. So there's a huge variety of careers available to you in horticulture. And the courses that we offer will prepare you for those careers, whatever level of the industry that you're looking to enter at. The reason that Elmwood's such a great place to study horticulture, it's got a strong history in horticulture. If anybody watches Gardening World, Carol Baxter was once a student studying horticulture at Elmwood. So we've got a long history of horticulture. But the reason it's so good is that we've got very extensive grounds. We've got a wide range of horticultural situations, from an allotment to a heritage garden. We've got a sensory garden. We've got herbaceous borders, rockeries, ponds. We've got large mature trees, woodlands. We've got it all at Elmwood, which is remarkable for a reasonably small space. We pack a lot in, and as students, you get to experience all of that throughout your studies. You're involved in helping us maintain the estate and maintain the ground. We've got great industry links, so all of the staff that are here work very closely with industry. We've got good contacts in industry, whether it's for helping students get employment after studying with us, or volunteering opportunities while they're doing it, and carrying out work experience, but also for getting industry to come in and give you cutting edge information about what's going on in parts of the industry. Obviously, I'm going to say we've got quality learning and teaching. We've got a fantastic horticulture team at Elmwood with a wealth of experience across all disciplines within horticulture. We arrange regular site visits, and as part of one of your courses, you have to do some work experience. And we also work really closely with the local community. So we work with Sustainable Cooper and other community groups to do projects around the local area. One of the most recent ones is growing on or propagating wildflowers to establish in some meadows around Cooper. So we work with the community quite a lot as well as with local schools. So that's why you should choose Elmwood. Talked about varied practical experience. So we do, like I said, a bit of everything on all of the courses. You'll learn about how to use machines, the different types of machines you use for different situations. You do a bit of hard landscaping. So in all the courses, we don't offer a full course on landscaping, but we offer sort of an introduction to landscaping and all our courses, where you learn about fencing, bricklaying, laying slabs, laying pavers, monoblocks, and so on. And as I said, you'll be working around the grounds, helping us maintain the estate, and that involves doing restoration pruning on trees and shrubs, maintaining our woodlands, and a whole load of other things as well. So the courses that we offer 3 full-time courses, and we do offer a work-based learning course as well. So we offer the Introduction to Horticulture at level 4, we offer the NC at level 5, and we offer a HNC as well. And then the work-based learning that we offer is really for people who are in employment already, but are looking to undertake a qualification as part of an apprenticeship scheme. So I'll talk to you about the 4 courses, give you a brief overview of them. So the Introduction to Horticulture really is a course that's designed for students that are transitioning from school. They tend to be students between the age of 16 and 19 and looking to get into horticulture at sort of foundation level. It's a full-time course. It's run over 3 days a week, and it contains 18 units. So again, things like plant identification, machinery, the use of horticultural hand tools, a whole load of other units as well. So the skills that you'll learn, you get an introduction to horticulture tasks and the skills required to be a gardener, machinery use, plant production. So there's units on bedding plant production, plant propagation, producing plants for commercial purposes. So we teach you about the production horticulture industry and landscaping skills as well. A lot of our school students are really keen to get their hands-on experience at hard landscaping. So we offer a unit for that as well. So that's our Introduction to Horticulture course. Our work-based learning offering, well, we offer 2 courses, one at level 5 and one at level 6. So we offer an SVQ2 in horticulture at level 5, and then we offer an SVQ3 in parks, gardens and green spaces at level 6 that's aimed for people who are in the workplace at a supervisory role. So they're supervisors in the workplace. Again, a similar theme in terms of the units and the topics you'll learn. So you'll learn basic horticulture skills, machinery use and maintenance, landscaping skills, but you'll also learn a good bit more about personal development and health and safety within the work-based learning as well. Our NC level 5, so our national certificate at level 5, it's probably our most popular course. It's the course that we recommend most people start at. And the reason we recommend most people start at the NC level 5 is because you get a broad range of skills and experiences throughout that course. So if you're not a school leaver and you're looking to get into horticulture, this is the course that best fits you starting out your career. You'll get all the same skills, those basic horticultural skills. You'll learn about plant propagation and production. You do a bit of garden design. You'll get an understanding on soil science and plant protection, why that's important for plant growth. You get experience at using machines and driving tractors, and you do things like plant identification, as well as a range of other skills and experiences. So the NC is the perfect course for building those foundations, building that foundational knowledge that will allow you to progress on to further study. And that progression route would be to the HNC in horticulture. This is where it's the first year of a degree. So it's at level 7, it's the first year of a degree, and you get 15 credits within that course. And it builds on all the knowledge that you pick up on the NC. You'll learn a bit more about plant science, so you'll get the foundations on the NC, but on the HNC, we delve in a little bit deeper into the science behind plants, looking at things like photosynthesis and respiration and what are the mechanisms and the processes involved with that. You'll learn some advanced practical skills. So where on the NC and on the intro, we'll teach you the basics of propagation. When you go into HNC, we go into more advanced skills such as grafting, which is a workshop that we hold once a year for our HNC students. You'll continue to develop your plant knowledge, so you'll do more plant identification tests, and you'll learn more about how to choose plants for designs in particular situations and for specific soil types and environmental conditions. The HNC gives you an opportunity to specialise as well. So we have a unit on environmental horticulture, where if you're more interested in understanding how to garden in a changing environment, a changing climate, or you're more interested into the ecological interactions of plants and pollinators, etc., there's a unit that will help you go down that road. We also have a unit called Social and Therapeutic Horticulture, where if you're more interested in the benefits horticulture has to society and working with others to improve mental health issues, etc., then we have that unit as well. And that's our 4 courses that we offer at Elmwood. What else is good with Elmwood is we offer excellent progression routes. In fact, that's a bonus for SRUC. With SRUC, you can have progression routes that start off at level 4 and will continue right the way up to level 10, which is your master's degree. We deliver, in terms of horticulture, we deliver all the courses up those different levels. With us at Elmwood, you can study up to level 7, which is HNC. But because we are a wider organisation, progression onto the HND and onto your degree is seamless. It's straightforward to progress on to the next level of the course. We also have a close link with the Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh. So if you do the NC and HNC with us, you can progress on to the plantsmanship course to do the HND or the degree at the Botanics at Edinburgh as well. And there's also opportunities to study garden design and progression routes in that respect. And that's everything from me, guys. My name and my email address is on the screen there. So if you do want any further information, please don't hesitate to get in touch. I can provide course handbooks that will explain what each course aims and objectives are, and what the units are that are contained within the courses. Happy to provide them if anybody would like them. Please just get in touch. Carolyn, I don't know if you've got any questions.
Thanks, Mark. Yes, I've had a couple of questions have come through. The first one is asking about PPE and what the college provides and what they would need to organise themselves.
Okay, so on our Introduction to Horticulture course and the NC at level 5, full PPE is provided. So you're provided with a pair of steel toe cap boots, a pair of overalls, some wet weather gear such as waterproof trousers and jackets, and any other PPE for using machinery, for example, that's all provided as well. So we've got hard hats and ear defenders, we've got visors and goggles, etc. On the NC level 5, we also receive secateurs. So each student on the NC will have a pair of secateurs available to them when they're on college as well. Not that any of the other courses don't get that, but the NC, we get them specifically provided for us.
That's great, thanks, Mark.
Sorry, Caroline, I should mention that unfortunately on the HNC, you need to provide your own PPE, and as a minimum, you need to have a pair of steel toe cap boots. We don't provide any overalls and wet weather gear on the HNC.
Okay, that's great to know. The next question I have is about work placements. Is that something that the college can help with, or is that part of a course?
It's part of a course. So on the HNC, as part of that course, you have to do a 40-hour work placement. It can be done in one block, or it could be spread across the year. We can help in providing you with that placement. So like I said before, we've got contacts within the industry, lots of contacts in local gardens at the National Trust properties and private estates and so on. So we can help you source those work experiences. But we always encourage students to find their own work experience. And I say to students every year, the best thing you could do is volunteer somewhere if you've got the time and the means to be able to do so. The knowledge that you'll pick up from volunteering somewhere is extremely valuable in horticulture. I always say we'll teach you as much as we possibly can in the year or 2 years that you're with us. But in horticulture, experience counts for a lot. And the more practical experience you've got, the more plant knowledge you'll have, and the more employable you become.
Thanks, Mark. Another question is, can you recommend any gardening books?
Oh, I could recommend loads. My favourite book is one called Horticulture in the Garden. Or Science in the Garden, sorry, I do apologise. Science in the Garden. It's an RHS publication, but it's almost like the textbook for the HNC. It's still suitable for students studying the NC. It goes into a little bit more detail than what's covered in the NC, but it is a great book. So that's Science in the Garden. And I think it's by somebody S. Ingram. Can't remember his first name.
Thanks, Mark. Someone else is asking about the size of the classes and what age groups. Maybe a mature student thinking of returning.
Okay. So our NC Introduction to Horticulture, so the level 4, as I mentioned earlier, they're predominantly school leavers. So they're anybody from the age of 16 up to 19, 20. Our NC is varied every year. So every year we have students that are, some of them come straight from school onto the NC. So we can have 16, 17-year-olds in that class, but it goes right up to people in their 60s and 70s. I think the oldest person we've had has been in their mid-70s. And it's always a mixture. It's always a range of ages and a range of people that join the course from all different walks of life. So it really is it's a great class to be involved in because it is such a mixture of people and you learn a lot from your fellow students. And the HNC is the same because the vast majority of people on the HNC are progressing students from the NC.
Thanks, Mark. Somebody else is asking if it's possible to have a visit to the campus.
Yes, I think you'll be able to tell me when there's an open day coming up that's on campus, but my email address might still be on the screen. Feel free to drop me an email and I can arrange a time to give you a little tour of the campus if that's possible. The best time would probably be towards the end of May, start of June, when the courses finish. So I'll have a bit more time then.
And the grounds
Plus the gardens
really
look
good.
better.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. I'll include in the email as well a link to our open days, so if people want to book on, that's where they'll be listed. That's great. Well, I think that brings our questions to a close there. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mark, before we close this afternoon's event?
Sorry, I missed that. I kept breaking up there.
Oh, I was just going to say, is there anything that you'd like to add before we close the event this afternoon?
No, other than to say thank you very much for coming along, and I hope that we get to meet in person and see you at some point soon.
That's great. Thanks for coming along, and I'll follow up with an email with some useful contact details. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.